Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all of my wonderful and beautiful little subscribers out there. And how I love you all so, and I hope that you're all super duper well, super duper wonderful, and super duper delicious. And that life is treating you most deliciously wherever you are in the world. So the weather in our old England, and the time is, what's the time, Mr. Wolf? It's actually 2:45 p.m. in the afternoon in our old England, my delicious little babies. And the weather, well, the zums have not long been up. We are starting to see more and more not so very nice white and grey fluffy clouds. Okay, my delicious little babies. It has been sun shining, so when the sun was out, it was beautiful and delicious. But they're clearly blocking it with the zazums. Okay, my delicious little babies. So 3, 2, 1, 4. My juice little lights. Thank you, little lights. You're delicious and bright. Yes. So what do I want to talk about, my delicious little babies? So I've got 2 pieces of information today, my delicious little babies, okay? Now, the first one, this is, right, the first one, my delicious little babies, both on YouTube today, my delicious little babies. The uploader happens to have 68,000 subscribers, my delicious little babies, okay? I went to say 68 point something then, my delicious little babies. Anyway, and this film appears to be, it's a documentary, sorry. I think it's a few year old. Oh, I should have flipping wrote that down. Anyway, not to worry, my delicious little babies, okay? But this actual documentary itself is over 55 minutes long, my delicious little babies, okay? Now, the uploader, and with anybody not in that way, the uploader is called, I'll spell it out for you, WALEED, Waleed, okay, or, well, Waleed, okay, my delicious little babies, and then space. And of course, capitals, capital W, then this is a capital H for Higgins. So, Waleed Higgins, my delicious little babies. That's the uploader, okay? Now, the documentary should read End Day, BBC End of the World documentary, 2005, my delicious little babies. Okay, so I'm just going to repeat that again for you, shall I? End Day, BBC End of the World documentary, 2005. Now, usually, so you're tipped off, Waleed. This will more than likely be a one-off, my delicious little babies, okay? But of course, with others, I do repeat. Okay, my delicious little babies. Now, I usually wouldn't even mention, this old BBC documentary, my delicious little babies, but it's very interesting. There we are. To take a listen and a watch of, my delicious little babies, okay? Now, for some of you, you may have seen this, but for myself, this was the first time. I personally cannot remember because I was never really one anyway. And even going back years ago, my delicious little babies, where, I was really one to watch really much on the BBC, my delicious little babies, okay? But it's well worth a watch and a listen, my delicious little babies. Do you see what I'm saying? Yes. And finally, and I'm halfway through this video, my delicious little babies, so I am going to listen to the rest of it because I've been making soup today, my delicious little babies, and my salmon patties, okay? I'm going through the salmon stage at the moment, my delicious little babies, okay? Anyway, very tasty though, very delish. Now, this uploader now is now up to 600 and 7,000 subscribers, my delicious little babies. So I'm really pleased that the numbers are moving up. Do you see what I mean, my delicious little babies? Anyway, so in the old space bar, in old YouTube, my delicious little babies, I did mention Kim the other day. Capital K for Kim, space, capital R for Arverson. Okay, my delicious little babies, yes. Kim Arversen. Okay, my delicious little babies. This video is just over 46 minutes long, my delicious little babies, okay? And the video should read, they're coming for your kids. I mean, I've no idea, actually, who come up with the word kids. Do you know what I mean, my delicious little babies? I just prefer not to call them kids. I prefer, sorry, stumbled there. Prefer to call them little bairns, you know what I mean? You know, because even calling them children, bless you know, the wren on the end. Do you see what I mean, my delicious little babies, okay? But clearly, there we are, somebody made up the name for our beautiful little bairns now. Do you see what I mean? Anyway, so yeah, I'll just repeat that again. They're coming for your kids. Inside the 764 cult, the FBI can no longer ignore. Okay, my delicious little baby. So I'm just going to repeat that again for you, shall I? They're coming for your kids. Inside the 764 cult, the FBI can no longer ignore. Yes, my delicious little baby. So I'm going to close my book. So we have to remember. So you're ticked off, dear Kim, and thank you so very much for these uploaders banging out videos. Okay, I'm not sure with the first one actually. If they've uploaded any recent, I'm just really not sure, my delicious little babies, but we must always remember, there we are, to go back to where we need to go back to. Now, as I'm nearly halfway through listening to this video, my delicious little babies, this reminded me of something else years ago as well, where it was like these challenges or something. I know that I heard, there we are, something about this, okay? Now, what this 764 cult is, my delicious little babies, it's where they sort of, first of all, they befriend. Do you see what I mean? Okay, so you cannot see them. You know, it's like on these social media platforms, okay, my delicious little babies. And then what then happens is, once they befriend them, then they, you know, to get them to do things. I mean, it could be anything. Okay, my delicious little babies, okay? Even to murder our beautiful little babies who we call our sons and daughters, okay? All for the camera, of course. All for the camera, of course. Okay, my delicious little babies. And what they then do, you know, if they do not want to do this or whatever they've done, or do you understand what I mean? And of course, you know, for some, bless them, well, they get deeper and deeper into it, you see, then it's harder to get out of, because these little effers, whoever they are, seem to blackmail them. Okay, and of course, with the little bairns and teenagers, you know, they do not want to get into what they feel is trouble with the mummies and daddies. Do you see what I mean, my delicious little babies, okay? So this is extremely serious, but like I said, I've heard something like this. There we are, years ago. It was a very similar thing. And even, what was it now? What was it that I heard? One of the ones that they were doing was for them to jump off bridges, and there we are, and do things like this. Now then, well, myself, my delicious little babies, okay, I regard all of this as being damn well serious, myself, my delicious little babies. And of course, then this 764 cult, okay, you know, for bairns as well, bless their dear little souls, taking their own lives, you know, committing suicide, my delicious little babies. Do you know what I mean? This is extremely serious, my delicious little babies. Do you see what I'm saying? Yes, okay. So what's my point to what I'm saying? It's very much appears to myself, there we are, and has done for many, there we are, years now, my delicious little babies, okay, that they do seem to target, there we are, the little bairns and little teenagers. Do you see what I mean? My delicious little babies, okay? Plus little babies. Do you see what I mean? My delicious little babies. Yes. So, yeah, so that's what I want to say. But, yeah, it's interesting, you know. I always say I cannot read many, no. Not because I cannot read, okay? So I never meant it that way. What I'm talking about is to read, you know, reels and reels. Do you see what I mean, my delicious little babies? Okay, so I just read some, okay? But it's always very interesting, there we are, to look at some of the comments, my delicious little babies. Do you see what I'm saying? Yes? And I can only thank my dear giddy God within that, because let me be done saying it very nicely now, okay? Thank goodness it never happened to any of my, bless their beautiful dear little souls, my beautiful little baby daughters, because you know something, I will be flipping hunting them down. There we are, hunting them down. Do you see what I mean, okay? They wouldn't have a chance to get arrested. My delicious little babies, okay? I'm just done saying it. Do you know what I mean, okay? I mean, that's really serious. You know, like the mummies and daddies or the carers, you know, appear to know nothing about this. My delicious little babies. Oh, and what was also mentioned, well, there isn't any surprise, surprise. Wow, what was also mentioned, my delicious little babies, is that this dear woman now then, who's a guest on Kim's channel on her show, my delicious little babies, she's seen this as well on X, which I call Twitter. Oh, yes. So, you know, if we look at Twitter, so I feel that you know what I'm going to say. So they will suspend or remove your tick or something like that now then, okay? If, you know, you're trying to, there we are, put the world right, you know what I mean, to help in the world, okay? But it appears that this kind of nasty business is still on Twitter. My delicious little baby. So how does that work then? But anyway, we've known this for a long time, for absolutely, there we are, for years. They never ever take nothing like that down now. Do you see what I mean, my delicious little babies, okay? But if somebody's trying to help in the world, you know, to give out good information, well, it appears that Twitter is not liking it. Do you see what I mean, my delicious little babies? Now, very lastly, just before I before I go, my little lovelies. So I was this morning, so I thought, right, I've got to pop up to my little shopping centre. Now I had a few sorry, excuse me. I had a few veg stock, you know, because I use the veg stock for my soups. I mean, of course, if I was doing a chicken soup, then I would use a chicken cube. Do you see what I mean? Or if I was doing a beef, then it would be a beef cube. Do you see what I mean? Okay. So I had about 3. So I spoke to my beautiful, dear little neighbours upstairs, you know, and I spoke to a dear husband, and I said, you know, could I just buy a couple of your stock cubes if you've got any? So anyway, so I paid 50p each. My delicious babies, and can I just please just stress, he did not want anything. They did not want anything, you know. But my point is that I just said, can you just do that? Do you see what I mean? Because I was going up to a little shopping centre, like I said. So anyway, and so I went. I thought, oh, I'll go into because I love going into little B&M. Do you understand what I mean? Just to see if there's been any changes in any way. And I was looking for stock cubes. Veg stock cubes, my delicious little babies, okay? Usually come in a green, like a green box. Hear a lot about the green, don't we, my delicious little babies? Well, it appears that they never had one box of veg stock, my delicious little babies. Do you see to me? Anyway, I'm going to make my own. There we are, very soon. I've been watching how to make it, my delicious little babies. You know where you make your own little stock cubes, okay? It's very good the way it's done, actually. Do you know what I mean? And it is, there we are, to be quite honest, there we are. Very simple when you actually look at it. Okay, my delicious little babies. Anyway, fast forward. So I went up to, the dear staff, bless them, okay? And I said, do you have any veg stock cubes, please, dear? They said, oh, no, we don't have a veg. I said, oh. I said, you got the others. So I had a look, chicken, beef and everything like that now then. And I said, but you don't have veg stock cubes. I could say a lot more about this up in green business, couldn't I, my delicious little babies? Anyway, so I thought, right, okay. So no stock cubes. And I love Surf, the washing liquid that you put in the washing machine, in my beautiful little washing machine. My delicious little babies, well, there was no Surf either. So no stock cubes and no Surf. Okay, my delicious little babies. So that was rather disappointing. Anyway, but they're moving shop. Now, apparently, they're moving. I said, so where are you moving to, please? And thank you. So they're down the road. I said, oh, right. They said the old co-op. I said, oh, right, yes. And I said, so is it larger? They said, yes, it's a lot larger. That old co-op, the building. My delicious little babies can. I forgot where the co-op's gone to now. I forgot. I think that's going the opposite side. It's really quite strange. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, I just found it all strange. Anyway, so I just said, oh, okay, so when are you going to be moving shop then? Because that's a lot of stuff to move, isn't it, my delicious little babies? Said in June, I forgot the date now. Was it the 19th of June? Anyway, I said, flip me. I said, there we are. I said, everything happens in June, doesn't it? And they started laughing. Do you know what I mean? I said, anyway, I said, have a beautiful day. So anyway, whilst I was in there, I thought, right, and I bumped into somebody who I haven't seen for forever, for years, my delicious little babies. He's an older man now. And anyway, and he's limping, okay? And anyway, so we give each other, not in that way, give each other a hug. Do you know what I mean? I said, are you all right? He says, well, I said, well, I hope you haven't any of those. And he said, well, the last one I had. Listen to this, my delicious little babies can. You see, the point is he's taken around, wait for this, my delicious little babies. The only thing I can say is bless. 10. And even when he went to go and have this one, the last one, my delicious little babies, okay? They even said, you've had around 10. He said, oh, don't worry about it. Can you see the fear? My delicious little babies, okay? So he took it. I said, can you remember which one it was? Because I ask quite a large number, actually. The only reason why I ask is just to see what type of side effects and there we are and things like this now then. So for the ones who have not received any side effects to the ones who have, do you see what I mean, okay? So what he said, not long after taking that last one, he said what then happened is, because, he's in his 70s, okay, my delicious little babies. Now, really, that's not old. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, because they tell us that it's old. Do you see what I mean? My delicious little babies. Anyway, so just very quickly. So anyway, he said what happened was, he said, so it was on the evening, he went to bed, and he said, and then what happened was, he said he couldn't get his leg on the floor. It's like his leg would not go and his foot wouldn't go on the floor. Okay, my delicious little babies. Then he said, because he was trying to get to, the toilet, then he started projecting, vomiting. So he said, I was really ill, really poorly, Carla. Do you know what I mean? And he said, and all I could put it down to, because I've known him for years. Do you know what I mean? He used to live across the road from where I used to live. Do you know what I mean? And I know that he will always eat, there we are, good food. Always. Do you know what I mean? And of course, he's just not one to skimp on. Do you know what I mean? He will buy the top end of meat and the top end of things. Do you understand what I mean? Yes, to eat. So he said, and I knew what it was. He said, and that is all I could put it down to. So I said, well, please, I said, I beg you, the Lord of mercy, do not take any more. I even explained to him some things that are in it. Do you see what I mean, my delicious little babies? Yes. But it just seemed that he didn't really want to discuss the matter any further. He never sort of argued with me or shouted at me or anything. No, not at all. It was nothing like that. But it's like, bless him, he just didn't want to hear it. Okay? And it's just so sad. I mean, come on. Flipping 10. Can you see what I'm saying to you, my delicious little babies? You know, I mean, this is the fear, there we are, that has been instilled. And I'm seeing more and more, there we are, wearing the flipping muzzles. You know, the old muzzle masks. My delicious little babies, do you see what I mean? So I don't know what to say anymore, my delicious little babies. I really just do not know what to say. You know what I mean? My heart, like I said, goes out to who, you know, I send my heart out to, do you know what I mean? Apart from the effers who are pushing it, my delicious little babies. No, I do not. But for everybody else, yes, but come on. You know, you do not need to take flipping 10, do you? You do not even need to take 1. But flipping 10, I've got to be honest, even I was shocked. Because what my thoughts was, I thought, if I was living across the road, because he's moved now anyway, that he told me so. If I was living across the road, I would have just kept, you know, not you know, physically, I would have kept drumming it into him. Do not take, do not take, do not take. Do you see what I mean? I would have continuously drummed it into him so that he knows not to take. Do you see what I mean? And I'm pretty sure, there we are, that I would have got through to him eventually. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yes, okay? But come on. I mean, he's walking now, and you can see it in his birth trace. Like, you can see the pain in his birth trace. And you're talking about a man who is usually always fit. Do you know what I mean? And he had his little girlfriend in the car, my delicious little babies. They've been together some years now, bless. Do you know what I mean? And, well, apparently he told me that she'd only taken 1 and then she refused to take any more, my delicious little babies. Do you see what I'm saying, okay? Well, bless her for that. Do you see what I mean? She seems like a very nice woman, actually. Do you know what I mean? Yes? But you can see the pain in his birth trace. Absolutely. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, it's one of those. Anyway, 1959. Anyway, I'm going to go, my delicious little babies. So wherever you are in the world, whether it's morning, afternoon or evening, please have a super duper delicious time. You only get 1 life, my little honey bunnies. Yes, you do, okay? And yeah, I just got the year that we are, 1959. Anyway, right, okay, and please take care of yourselves now, and please try to take care of others, okay, because we are in a bonkers, crackers and crazy world, okay, and we've got to continue to good vibrations, okay, my delicious little babies, sending peace, love, harmony and bright blessings to each and every one of you. May your beautiful little selves and your beautiful little families, may you all be fully protected. The sun's back out, so the sun has got his hat on. Hip, 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 hooray. I've got my angel top on today, my delicious little babies. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, you just take care now, my little beautifuls. How I love you so. Ta-ta.